Hey there, guys. We're gonna get practicing on evening prayer. Um, this one's a pretty challenging one, so I'm gonna work on it in sections like I did with the other pieces. So we're gonna start with measures 1 to 9, then we'll go to 9 to 17, then 17 to 22, 22 to 26, 26 to I believe is 30, 30 to 36, and 36 to 42, and 42 to the end. Okay, so basically we're just breaking up each rehearsal marking where the squares are. Okay, so make sure in this piece you're paying attention to your weird accidentals that you're playing, watching your bow movement, watching your bow speed, listening for your tempo. It's a very slow tempo, getting those eighth notes to move just right and evenly. So, looking at the beginning in measure 2, you have 2 G's, then followed by an F sharp. So in the 2 G's, you're going to make sure that those are connected, and you're going to go down, down, like this. Then up on the F sharp. So that way at measure 3, you can start on a down bow. Then at measure 4, make sure you slur the B and A, first finger and second finger on the G string. Now this C is a high C because it's a C sharp. Very good. Okay, so let's play the first 4 measures together. Okay, starting on measure 1 on open D, starting on a down bow. 1, 2, 3. Actually, you know what? Why don't you listen to me play it first? Here we go. Listen. I keep trying to play the blue violin part, sorry. Okay, now you try it on your own, and then when you're ready, come back and play it with me. Okay, so let's play measures 1 through 4 together. Here we go. 3, 4. Okay, if you struggle with that, keep going. Go back and work on it again, either with me or without the recording until you can play it with me. Okay, so now looking at measures 5, 6, 7, and 8. You've got half notes. So you got to make sure each of these gets 2 counts. In measure 6, make sure that's a high 3 again for that C sharp. And then to B, second finger. Then, measure 7 as F sharp and D. Then in measure 8, make sure you're going back towards, here's what your 1 would normally look like. We're going to play this low 1 by pulling our finger back right in front of what we call the nut, this part. Okay, so that's a D sharp. We have 1, 2, and then on second finger on the G string for B. Okay, so here's that D sharp. Make sure you play it in tune. If it's too hard to play with me on the recording, use a tuner, and it will pop up as D sharp or E flat, depending on your tuner, because those are the same notes. All right, so let's work on measures 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so I want you to listen first. Here we go. D sharp, then second finger. Okay. All right, let's try it together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Now, let's play from the beginning. Now, if you struggled with those past 4 measures, go back and do it again until you can play it with me. Okay? Now, from the beginning, starting on a down bow all the way to measure 9 and then stop. Remember, place your bow at the frog, start kind of soft. 1, 2, 3, 4. pause because I think I just played measure 4 wrong. Ugh. Make sure you don't do what I just did. Pay attention to your music. It's very easy to get distracted. See, I do it, you do it, we all do it. So try it again. 1, 2, beginning, go. Alright, so make sure when you play the D sharp at measure 8, you leave your low one down, and then all you have to do to play the B is just cross over your second finger, like so. You don't even have to lift up the first finger. So just cross over the second, then move it before measure 9, back so you can play that E. Okay, so if you struggle with playing that up to tempo, try it on your own slower. Otherwise, keep practicing it with me until you can get it. Okay, now, looking at measures 9 through 17. You've got a lot of moving eighth notes that are kind of tricky. And they're slurred in 2 patterns, like so, in measure 9. So make sure in measure 9, you use a 4th finger on that A. It's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th note at measure 9. It's easier to use the 4th finger because when you're trying to play fast and slur at the same time, it makes it harder when you cross over to open A. So play a 4th finger instead. Okay, then also at measure 9, make sure you play an F natural. That's the 2nd note, low 2. Okay, looks like this. Not this, this, touching 1. Then at measure 10, you're going to adjust the F natural back to an F sharp because that's in your key signature. Then I will still play a 4th finger at measure 10 for that A, so you don't have to string cross. Okay, so it'd be like... Alright, try that. If you're getting it out of tune, make sure you work with a tuner. Slowly on each note until your tuner says F sharp, A, G, and D. Now, at measure 11, you still got 8th notes that are kind of tricky, but you've got this extension for a G sharp. So normally our G, we have 1, 2, 3, right? Now we're going to extend that 3 so there's a space between 2 and 3 for that G sharp. Okay, so we have this note. Oh, that sounds like an A, sorry. There it is. Okay, so make sure you get that G sharp in tune, check it with your tuner. Now, measure 11 would sound like... And if you notice, I played with open A because that's okay now because you're going to be on the A string anyways. So, make sure your rhythm at 11 is 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Then at measure 12, you're starting on open A. You got a normal 2. Okay, you're going to have 2 down. When you cross over to G, all you got to do is move your 3rd finger over and then your 2nd finger over. It's a lot of work. So when you're practicing at home, try it slowly first like this. And make sure that you use a 4th finger at measure 12 for the last 2 open A's, which is in the 2nd group of 8th notes. Now, if you're struggling with the slurs at measure 9, 11, or 12, do what we did in rehearsal where we do the stop and go. So we play the first 2 and then stop. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to say at measure 9. Here's measure 9. You stop, play the next 2. Play the next 2, still an F natural. Stop, put your 4th finger down, still on an F natural. Okay, do that as many times as you need to until you can get it to sound like this. Without stopping. Same thing at measure 11. E to G sharp first. G sharp to B. Then try it as like this. And then try it without any pause whatsoever. And and then do the same thing at measure 12. And make sure you're going to a C sharp. Okay, so right there, you're going to go open 2. Keep your 2 down, put your 3 down on the D string, and then lift up your 2 as you play 3. Then put your second finger down on the D string for F sharp, and then play a 4th finger for A. Do it again. And then down bow at measure 13. Okay? So with that section, it's probably going to take you, it's all about coordination and timing. It's really tricky. You know, the intonation is pretty easy to fix, but you got to get the timing right, because if the timing's not right, it's going to mess up your intonation and your rhythm. So now jump to measure 13. You've got the little melody here, or harmony melody part with the blue violins and violas and green section. So make sure at measure 15, at the end, the last note is a C natural. So normally you've learned C sharp. Make sure you pull it back. 1 and 2 are touching for C natural. And then you play that C natural again at measure 16. Okay, so you have D. Then you have A again. Low 2 for C natural. C natural again at measure 16. Open A. G, 3rd finger on the D string. Then E, 1st finger. Okay, go through and play those notes until you get them in tune. So it would sound like this at 15 and 16. Okay, now adding 13 in as well. We're going to play 13 to 17 and stop. Here we go. And it's nice and soft because you're at a mezzo piano. And I just realized something, that I told you something incorrect at measure 15. It's not an open D, it should be a 1st finger E. I'm sorry, I misread that. I apologize. Okay, now go back to 9 and play 9 to 17 without stopping. So it'd be like this. Get a little bit louder. Okay, not too fast at all. It's a slower piece. It's very sweet, and it's like a lullaby. So you need to make it sound smooth, sweet, and long sounding bow stroke. All right, now we have the same kind of concepts at 17, where we have these tricky 8th notes and we're slurring 2 notes. So at measure 17, make sure you're starting on an F sharp. So you have F, D, D, F. Then you have B, F, F, B. So right there, make sure you're just, when you put your B down and you move over to F sharp, just leave the 1st finger down, because you've got to play the same exact note at the end, so there's no point of lifting up your finger. Okay, now same thing, if you're having a hard time getting the timing right, you got to slow down and do the little stop and go motion. Stop. Stop, move to B. Stop. Okay, and then play it until you can do it without those stops. If you notice, I got a little bit louder because there's a crescendo, so make sure you're doing the crescendo at 17. Now you're going to start on a down bow at 18. Those notes are pretty easy. Those are on 1 note on the A string and 3 on the D string. Now 19 is a little tricky. Your rhythm is 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Okay, so it'd be like this. And make sure for the A you're using a 4th finger. for the first one. You can use for the second A in measure 19, you can use an open because you're going to the open A anyways. But to save you some timing on 19, put a fourth finger at the first A. I believe we marked that in already, so make sure you marked it in if you didn't. Okay, now same thing at 19. You're going to do the stop and go. So we have F sharp, then you have D and F sharp, slurred together as an eighth note, to end. Then 19, fourth finger for A and F sharp. Okay, lift up your 4. Now go F sharp, open A. Okay, and do that as many times as you need to until you can do this. Okay, now same rhythm as your 20, just different notes on the A string this time. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Okay, so you have C sharp, A and C sharp, C sharp and A again, then A and G. Okay, now without the pauses, it sounds like this. And if you notice, I got a little bit softer because there's a decrescendo. So try it with me. Here we go. Measure 20, 3, and 4, and. Okay, do that as many times as you need to until you can play it with me at different speeds. Now at measure 21, you're on a fourth finger because it's just easier to do. You don't need to end on a open A. So fourth finger, open D and F sharp, F sharp and A. You can go to open A, stay on open A to D. Okay, so it sounds like this at measure 21. So remember, do the stop and go. So you got A, F sharp to A to D. Okay, then all to play it with me without stopping and pauses. 3 and 4 and. Okay, now let's play all of 17 to measure 21. Okay, remember, get louder, going all from 17 to 20 because there's a crescendo. And then at the end of 20 into 21, you get softer. And then before we get to 22, you got to be at like a whispering dynamic because it's a pianissimo. Okay, so here we go at 17. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Really, Bill? More. 4. Okay, so that was 17 and 22. Keep working on it if you're struggling with it. I know this section is a particularly hard section that we've been having in rehearsal. So make sure you're doing a lot of slow practice, a lot of stop and go motions, and then playing with me or playing without me. All right, now 22 to 26, it's very easy. You just have to count. You have to count to 4, 1, 2, 3 times for D on the A string. And remember, it's a tremolo, so we play it at the upper half of our bow. We play it really fast, and it's a wrist finger motion. So to help you play it fast, you can lift up your pinky. Okay, so let's count it together from 22 to 25 and then stop. Okay, so 4, count to 4, 1, 2, 3 times. Okay, here we go. Sorry, I didn't set my bow very well, so make sure you're here at the upper half. It's nice and quick. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that's not the end of it. I stopped at 25 because the notes change. So we have to work on changing our notes. Now make sure you're whispering here because the cellos have the melody and they don't get the melody often, so it's really important that we hear them. Okay, so go back to 22, and we're going to add in 25 this time. So 25, you're going to count D for 2 counts. 1, 2. Then you're going to play C sharp for 1.5 counts. 1 and then lift. Okay, and then you can play open E at 26. All right. So let's go back to 22 to 26. There you go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, change, lift. Okay? Go back and do that until you can get this kind of fast motion. Use your fingers, mostly your index and your middle finger, to really move the bow. Lift up your pinky because that takes weight off the bow, and then use your wrist too. If your wrist starts to hurt, you're doing too much of a fast motion. If your elbow starts to hurt, you're using too much of your elbow. So make sure you're using a little bit of your fingers and your wrist. All right, looking at 26, we have some eighth notes patterns at like measure 27. It's tricky because it's string crossing. So we have... Okay, so we have B, F sharp, G, B, F sharp, B, D. So at 27, it's really important that you leave your first finger down because you play it multiple times, so there's no point of lifting it up. Okay, so, and then at the end of at 29, make sure you play a high 3 for that D sharp on the A string. Okay, so it's A, B, high 3. Alrighty. Listen to 26 real quick. And it's tricky because you have to adjust your high 3 at the end of 29 for that G natural on the D string. Now look at 27. You're going to play 2 C sharps on the A string. You're going to lift up for B. And you're going to play B and F sharp. Leave down F sharp. Leave down F sharp and B. Then you're going to... So one more time, it's B and F sharp. And then you got to move your bow back to the A string. Lift up your 2. Play 1, 3 on the A string. So it sounds like this at 27. Okay, try it with me. Ready, go. Okay, if you got a hard time with that, do the stop and go motion. A lot of the same practices from earlier. Okay, so now look at 29. It's high 3. Then first finger on the A string. Move your 3 back to normal on the D string for G. So it's like this. With me, high 3, ready, go. Okay, so let's play 26 to 30 now. Here we go. It's 1 and 2 and softly go now. Okay, go back and do that as many times as you need to. Now, we are back at, we're not back. Now we're at 30, but we are back to a similar pattern that we already had at measure 9. So it's the exact thing at measure 9 and what we practiced, except for at measure 34 and 35, we have more eighth notes. You have a lot of eighth notes because it happens in this section, and then it happens at 36 until 42. Okay, but it's a lot of the same rhythms. It's very tricky, but it's doable. So make sure 30 is E and F sharp, G and E, F nat. Oh, I said F sharp. I'm sorry. 30 is an F natural. I apologize. Try it again. And then G and E, F natural still. Fourth finger on to F natural. Now adjust for an F sharp, fourth finger for A, G, and D. And then 32, we have that high 3, E to G sharp. Leave your G sharp down, move your first finger over to the A string. Open A. And then 33 is A to C sharp. C sharp to G, so leave your 2 down and move your 3 over to the D string. Now play F sharp to fourth finger. Fourth finger to S sharp. Now we're on G, third finger on the D string to open D. Open D to G. Leave your third finger on the D string, put your first finger on the A string and move your bow over. Now do G to B. Keep leaving those fingers down. Now lift up your first finger, play G to D. Then F sharp to fourth finger. And fourth finger to F sharp. Okay, so that's a tricky one because it's a lot of these moving parts. But listen to it so you can hear it at 30 to 36. Okay, so now before you try it with me again, I want you to try and play it. Do the stop and goes, and then I want you to try playing it without the stop and goes and do it at a slower pace until you can play it with me. So now try it with me. Okay. Now, if you had a hard time doing that, keep practicing it until you can get it, and then do it with me again. All right. Now, looking at 36, we've got a lot of eighth notes that we got to work on. All right. So, 36, we start on a fourth finger on the D string. So we go fourth finger to third finger. Then we go second finger to first finger. So those notes are A, G, F sharp, E. We stay on first finger to open D. Then we cross over to third finger. We leave our third finger down and put our fourth finger down on the D string for A. Okay? It's tricky. Up bow. Then you got to move your bow in your low 2 for C natural on the A string at 37 to B. A to G. G to F sharp. E to F sharp. F sharp to D. D to F sharp. Then B to F sharp. Leave your first finger and second finger down on the D string. Keep them down. And then B, E, F sharp, E, then F sharp, D to F sharp slurred together. Then fourth finger and F sharp to fourth finger again. Move your bow to the A string on C sharp, A to C sharp to A to G. Okay, so that was very fast-paced, I know. So what I would do is I would go back and listen to it again. Just practice your left hand. Don't even use your bow. Just practice moving with me when I'm saying the notes and the fingerings. And then until you can get it with the bow, do it on your own. And if you need to, just pause the video, remember the notes, and do your own stop and go motion like this. Until you get to measure 42. Otherwise, listen to how 36 to 42 sounds. that's how it sounds. Now, I want you to try it on your own until you can play it without stopping, and then I want you to try it with me. Okay, so here we go on fourth finger. 3 and 4 and... Alrighty. Now, that was probably tricky, so keep practicing it until you can do it. Lots of stop and goes, lots of slower tempos, faster tempos. Watch your bow, watch your fingerings. Leave previous fingers down if you can. It makes it much easier. Okay? Now, let's look at 42. So 42, it starts with 4 beats of rest. So you have rest, 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 rest. And then at 43, you have the little melody. Okay, now don't be confused. Wait. Now, if you could, let's see. I don't know if we marked this in, but at 44, can you please mark in a slur at the first 2 notes, B and A, because you want to end on a up bow, so that way it's easier to do the tremolo from 45 to the end. Okay? So try 42, 43, and 44 with me. We're going to count the rest, and I'm going to give you 4 before the rest. So 1, 2, 3, 4, rest, 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 rest. Slur. Okay, so make sure at 44 it's down and up. So down, down, up, 2, and then at 45 we go 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and stop. Leave your bow on the string, look up, and when my hands go down, your instrument goes down. All right, so the key thing from 45 to the end is just count 4 3 times and then 3 1 time. And watch, because I will stop you when it's time to stop. All right, so now, if you're not ready to play the whole thing with me, go back and work on sections on your own until you can. Otherwise, I'm going to play the whole thing with you now. Now, there's going to be a slight pause because I'm reading off of my score. So when we get to 22, I'm going to pause because I got to turn my page. All right? So let's take it from the beginning. Make sure your mute is on. I forgot to do that. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. I just started playing the blue violin section. I'm sorry. Do it again. going to do a slight pause because I got to turn my page. Right at 22. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... All right. I hope you got it. If you didn't, keep practicing, keep trying hard, keep playing with me, keep rewatching the video, whatever you need to do. Otherwise, happy practicing. I'll see you later.